Hi, welcome everybody to Scribe Academy. It's our first event of 2023. Yeah, so I'll be throwing loads of things at you over the next 30, 40 minutes. You know, some of them will stick with you. You might try one or two things, but it could also seem a little bit overwhelming because I'm going to be throwing loads of tactics at you and loads of tools, but just make notes on things that, you know, you think, oh, that could work with me, because it might not work with your particular style of working and how your mind works. I'll also be sharing the slides. I'll also be sharing a copy of this video afterwards. So my first tip is something I always try and do. It's really simple, really basic, but always just try and keep your mind clear. If your mind is clear and it's not getting filled up with things that you've got to remember today, tomorrow, next week, and you've got all these incoming, you're not going to be able to focus on whatever you're doing right now. So just get things out of your head. As soon as it comes in your head, get it out of your head so you do not have to think about it. Store basically means you have to store it somewhere else, you know, on paper or digitally. I'm going to be talking a lot about storing things, prioritize things digitally, but just think of that. I do it all the time. I've got really good tactics around getting things out of my head very quickly, which I'll be sharing with you later. But particularly if some things come in your head and you've got a particular task to get done, and if you can get that task done within 2 minutes, get it done straight away. This is the 2-minute rule. So this is my second tip to you. If it takes 2 minutes, then just get it done immediately. It makes no sense to do any administration around it. It makes no sense to write it down, to document it, to schedule it, to remember it, to think about it, because all that time it's going to take, that kind of effort and that cognitive load of that task. If you can get it done immediately, then get it done immediately. And that's kind of in anything, you know, it's homework. And I always follow this rule, just to get it done. If I'm not focused on something where I'm trying, at the moment. I've just jumped all over the place. So the 2-minute rule. So those two things, clear your head, but before you document anything, if you can get it done straight away, get it done straight away. So my third tip to help you Clerk Smarter, not harder, is Clerk Smarter with the Eisenhower Matrix. What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. And these are the words of the 34th President of the US, Dwight Eisenhower, and he was a crazy and amazing productive person through decades of work. And one of the things he created is this tool you can see here. It's a matrix, or it's called the Eisenhower box. And it basically divides it into 4 quadrants. So urgent, important task, you must do it right now. Not urgent and important, schedule it. Not important and urgent, delegate it. And not important and not urgent, delete it. So I'm just going to dive into those a little bit now. I'll just move the slides on there. So in quadrant 1, urgent important tasks demand your attention and will most likely have consequences and store you taking action. So often clerks think about tasks in this top left-hand quadrant are related to deadlines. So you're thinking about year end, budgeting you're just completing or should be completing right now, elections and so forth, all belong in this quadrant, but it isn't necessarily correct. We know about these deadlines, or we normally have a rough timescale on them well in advance, and there is a particular rhythm to how we kind of do administration and business in local councils. Therefore, these tasks should belong in quadrant 2. Quadrant tasks are so this is kind of, a lot of you, I think you're working, as you know, the statistics just shown, over 50% of you are working, or 60% working in this quadrant, important, urgent. You are firefighting, but most of these tasks come from external sources completely out of your control. Like in an emergency, incident or an important inquiry. You know, for example, you might receive a call from a mother whose son has just cut their leg on some play equipment. This really requires you to completely stop what you're doing right now, go out there, investigate the piece of equipment and take action, maybe close off the area and get it repaired. That is quadrant 1. That is firefighting. Quadrant 1 may also be used for tasks that were in quadrant 2, the schedule it, but the deadline is approaching. Hopefully you should be well underway with preparation, with the workload involved for that deadline, but it's just kind of coming to the top now. And, for example, you've got your draft budget meeting next week and you've got to get that done, just the final bits of it done, but you've already been prepared, you knew it was coming, so it moves into the urgent tasks box. The tasks here are inevitable in everyday lives, as well as work, but it's important not to dwell on those or procrastinate. You just got to get them done because they're most of the time they're out of your control. So as I said before, we really want to avoid becoming a firefighter, constantly putting out fires. This will quickly drain your energy, overtake those long-term goals that we're going to talk about next. Which isn't the best way to work. So moving on into quadrant 2 on the right hand side here. This is where you really should be getting all of your work done. They're not urgent tasks, but they're important tasks. They're important for you to achieve your long-term goals. This is where it allows you to really to stay on top of your tasks through prioritization, and this ultimately will decrease the number of problems that keep popping up on the left-hand side, the top left-hand corner, the firefighting. So a good, maybe an example of that is you keep putting off your monthly bank reconciliations, and you're gradually, you've just been putting them off month by month, and now you're approaching year end. You just try and get them all done at once for the whole year. And then you come across a discrepancy in the, from 5 months ago, and it just takes up so much. It's difficult to go back in that time. It takes up so much time. And then you're into the firefighting mode. If you would have been, scheduled in that monthly bank reconciliation, you actually did it, then you won't be in that firefighting situation when it comes to year end. But scheduling is not just about finances, such as budgeting and year end, etc. But it can be anything that you need to get to. It's coming up, you've got to do it, you don't want to firefight it, so preparing agenda for your council meeting, publishing minutes, maybe obtaining quotes for insurance, etc. You need to push out a communication. Could even go even further around planning for community events, applying for grants, etc. All kinds of things that you need to do. They have a deadline, you can schedule it, and you won't be entering that firefighting phase. But also super important in this quadrant is to schedule your own downtime. I do it in my calendar, my team do it in their calendar. They will put their lunch in there, and our team, we respect that, so you can schedule that, going for a walk, getting some fresh air, also attending training such as this event here, completing your silk qualification or whatever. You can put all these other things in to scheduling it, and I'll talk more about creating good habits there. So going down to the left hand side, when the delegate, this quadrant is often kind of called the urgency trap. So you're driven to complete these tasks because of some kind of real or more likely assumed deadlines, and they really have little meaning to you, more meaning to other people. So in that survey that came up, and these tasks are, as I said, are often based on other people expectations on you and priority, but these are the tasks you want to delegate it. And often you are a clerk and there is actually no one else to delegate to. So but you mustn't just think about delegating it to someone else. There's all kinds of tools out there that you can do that to make your life easier. So I'll be talking more about those later. Then finally, on the quadrant 4 there, we're spending a bit longer on this point there, but this whole topic, because it's quite important, is delete it. So while delegating tasks frees up some of your time, it's really this quadrant where you're going to really free up most of your time. There's no faster way to do something that and then free up your time is just don't do it at all. So these contain all your not urgent or not important tasks. They're time-wasting activities, particularly when it's in your working time. They don't contribute to any of your long-term goals and can often make you feel unproductive and should be avoided. I mean, on a personal side, you know, if you have personal goals, staying fit and healthy, you know, eating good meals, getting exercise, those can be quickly, you know, thrown out the window, and you can find fast food, unhealthy snacks if you're doing it. You just need to delete that so that you can focus on better habits. But hopefully through, you know, the scheduling of the tasks and the delegation, you will be able to find up, you know, free up time in your calendar to do things that are healthier for you. But also it goes on to other unhealthy things around, you know, going on. Perfectionism can be one in there, social media, reading the news all the time, all these kinds of things. You guys, you know yourself best and what is the things that you need to stop doing it. So that kind of wraps up the Eisenhower Matrix, or the best, you know, nice way to categorize your task and prioritizing it into these 4 quadrants. So moving on, this is one that I really love. I'm not sure if any of you have heard it before. It's my 4th tip to help you clerk smarter, and it is eat that frog. And basically it's, you know, pick your most important task that you've got to do, or worst task, the one that you keep putting off. And this is your first, your frog, your worst task, and you just got to get it done first thing in the morning. And the frog was developed by Brian Tracy in his book, Eat That Frog. It's 21 great ways to stop procrastinating, get more things done. Yeah, so, you know, you can think of those things. It's those scheduling, you know, so there's top quadrant, the tasks that you scheduled. Don't start your morning making yourself feel productive by checking your email, checking the post, all those kind of tasks when you go into work. Just forget about those. Delay those to your coffee, you know, when you're going to have your coffee at maybe 10 or 11 a.m. Just come into work. You've already thought about what that frog is, and just get it done straight away. Don't do anything else. So that's what I try to do when I come in first thing in the morning. You know, I could check all the messages on our team chat. I could check my emails. I could check lots of statistics and all our dashboards. But I've got this one thing that I want to get done, and I get that frog done and I eat it. So that can be things like, you know, preparing the agenda for your council meeting, doing your bank reconciliation, drafting your report, publishing those minutes, applying for a grant, trying out new technology, learning something. Just get it done straight away. And you can mix that up with other concepts, Pareto analysis, where basically the concept of that is 20% of your actions are responsible for 80% of your outcomes. If you do, you know, just do this one thing every day, eat that frog, it'll have a massive impact on you. So the 2-minute rule and this, you know, that's kind of those boxes in the Eisenhower Matrix. You'll be highly more productive. And if you can kind of mix that into deep work, you know, it's when you've got an activity, you really try and perform it in a distraction-free concentration, you will be able to get it done. It's also related to the Parkinson law, which will be on the next slide here. Where am I? Yes, the law, you know, this perhaps all resonates with you. Basically, if you've got less time to do something, you do it quicker. If you've got longer time to do something, it just takes longer. So if you think about the Eat That Frog and you say you want to get it done before lunch, that would be your reward. You set this artificial deadline, but it enables you, you know, the artificial deadline really enables you to knuckle down, focus and get it done. If it was a real deadline, then you'll get it done. I often do that at work. If I really need to get something done, and it's kind of related to other people. You know, I need to involve other people. I'll set a meeting to invite people to that meeting, and I haven't even done anything, you know, so I'll set the meeting tomorrow afternoon and I've done nothing. I just say, well, I've booked that meeting with people, so now I've just got to get it done, because I'm not going to cancel that meeting. So I often do that. So eat that frog. Moving on, obvious but not obvious one is have a, you know, we always focus on the to-do list. Have a to-don't list. And this is kind of, again, in that kind of bottom right-hand quadrant of the Eisenhower Matrix. It's all the things that you really need to delete. So you can kind of set rules for yourself. You know, don't visit social media between certain times. Don't look at your email between certain times. Don't have meetings for longer than an hour. All those kinds of things, like your own personal set of rules that you try to stick at. And you can actually, if you can actually get apps that can control your PC. This one here, Cold Turkey, which actually stops you visiting certain sites between certain times. So it's a great way to kind of reduce those distractions so that you can really focus on doing things like eating that frog, getting those important tasks done. Moving on to my tip number 7. I do like this one. This is quite a nice way to break up your day. You could just plan it at the beginning of your day, and that's a 1-3-5 rule. So sometimes tasks can be insurmountable. It just seems so much that you need to get done, but there is only so much time in the day. You're not Superman or Superwoman. And there is limited time, so you can break it down into 1-3-5 rules. So it's do one thing, you know, get that frog done, do 3 medium things, and then 5 little things, and just keep your task list to those 9 items. You may, you know, often have unplanned things that come up. So you could keep a couple of blank slots in the 5 little things or 1 medium thing. But it's just a nice, simple way that you can start your day, spend 15 minutes. You know, it's worthwhile spending 15 minutes at the beginning of your day and write your 9 tasks separated into that. And also, as I said down at the bottom, make sure, you know, you can have some of those little things are things for yourself, like meet, Jan for a walk, etc. You can also include in your tasks planning for the next day, so you always feel in control. So that a lot of people liked that last time, because it's quite a simple way to plan your day. Another tip is time boxing. So again, like going to my point, starting that day, you want to achieve one, you want to eat that frog, you will definitely want to get one big thing done for that day. We kind of get into this pattern, even like our personal thing. A lot of people, the first thing they do in the morning, even when they're in bed, I don't have my phone near my bed or anything, because I used to. First thing would I check all my social media first thing in the morning, and you come into work, you check all your mail and everything like that, you check your voicemail. You don't, none of that is probably important and urgent, all of that. So you can time box it. So you can time box that maybe at 10:30 or 11 a.m. You're going to do half an hour of, responding to email. That's all you can do. So you're going to set 2 half-an-hour slots every day, time box to do correspondence. That could include phone calls. That's what you're going to do. And the more you do that, it just builds up. Really, you're almost automating yourself. You're turning yourself into a bit of a machine, but then, you are able to focus on the important works, which will reduce your firefighting. So anything like that, as I say here, email, voicemails, messages, work related, but also place of fitness, planning that you're going to do a walk at a certain time every day, time boxing that. And sometimes you can reward yourself. So maybe you're going to be doing your time box to do all your correspondence at 11 a.m. You could also, mix that in with 11s, so you have your coffee and maybe a healthy snack in that. So all successful people really, time box. I mean, I know if you follow Elon Musk, he's got not the best reputation in the world, but he literally his whole life is time boxed, because these minutes all have to be accountable for it. But he, you know, people like him are so productive. And if you really want to kind of start a new habit, then it's kind of such a simple one of the calendar, the Seinfeld method, where you want to start doing something new. You can start a calendar and you just cross it off every day you do it. And the goal is that you don't break the chain, as you see down at the bottom there. So Seinfeld did it. He's well famous for it. You know, you want to start something new. It might be yoga or whatever you want to do. It can be a work thing, but then maybe it's not on the weekend. So you just try and really get a clean, you get your calendar and you just get a clean Monday to Friday. You're doing it all the time. It's just a nice way to kind of visually see it. You get your calendar, you put it on the wall, every day you cross it off, and your goal is just to keep it clean and tidy. You don't break the chain. And that's a nice way to track to building up that new habit. And then you'll get a few weeks under your belt, then you get a few months under your belt, and then it becomes routine. It really does simplify your life, and you kind of you're kind of turning it into an automated behavior. Moving on, this is kind of, this is going a little bit more into this technology area, but it's something I think you should really pay close attention. And I'm going to go more into this later. But whenever I work, I always kind of trying to plan that if I got run down by a bus, someone else can do the job. So I'm always trying to improve. I call it self-service, trying to improve the ability for other people to do the job themselves. So I call it engineering myself out of a task. Increase the ability for people to find answers themselves. And that's kind of around automation. So I use an example of this mindset, and it's worth you thinking of it. On the right-hand side, that, we'll email customers a lot and we'll get the automatic reply. And the actually automatic reply to emails is a great opportunity to give resources to the recipient to sort themselves out. So one thing is having an FAQ. So your public email that you might get emails from the public, they might over time get, you might have similar questions that are always appearing. Don't reply to those emails individually. Start building up an FAQ, a frequently asked question, on your public website, so that the more those questions up, you never answer the individual email. You go and update the FAQ, and then you send them a link to the FAQ, and then over time that can be in your auto response on your emails. So if someone does email you saying, please take a look at our FAQ, and most of the time, hopefully, the person that emailed you will be able to get the answer themselves from the FAQ. And then over time, they won't even email you, because they'll find the FAQ on your public website and they'll find that very useful. Then, there might be other things going on, like if you're doing a campaign to look for volunteers for Christmas Lights Committee, rather than, you can put it in there, rather than, let me just invite some people in. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, rather than getting all these people to individually email you, you can put up a form. And I'll talk about forms later, where they can fill out their kind of, volunteer, register to volunteer. And then you get all that in a nice spreadsheet, and you won't have 20 emails you'd have to go through to look through those responses. You can invite them to community Facebook groups. And if they wanted to book a meeting, you can give a Calendly link. I'll talk more about that. But, if you have a really good, just put effort into getting a good auto reply, it probably, you're doing work while you're not at work, because people are, able to self-serve. Cool. So those cover my kind of 10 tactics. Next, I'm going to go into 10 tools, and that's kind of more in the delegation area. And this is kind of also known as digital transformation or modernizing government. And I might also do a few demos if I have time. So let's see. I don't even know what's coming up first. Let's click over. Oh, yes. This one I love. Use voice assistants. So Going back to my first tip about getting things out your head, I'm turning 50 this year. I'm getting a bit older, and I find it harder to type sometimes now on my phone and all these kinds of things. And also I'm getting a bit more forgetful, and I'm keep getting in trouble with the wife, etc. So what I do, if I need to remember something, I ask my phone. So all of us probably have, most of you, I'm going to say over 90% of you have a smartphone. It might be an Apple, it might be an Android phone, but it's going to have either Siri on it or Google on it. It won't have Alexa on it, but you might also have an Alexa at home. And if you've got one at home now, I may have triggered it when I said that word, but yeah, apologize for that. But it's, and also I've got my Apple Watch there. So whenever I've got to remind myself something, I don't have to type it down. I just literally ask Siri to remind it. So it can be, oh, I've triggered it now. There, I triggered it. Well, I just triggered it, but I just go like this: Siri, remind me today at 4 p.m. to get milk on the way home. And that's it. You know, it's added.
Okay, I've added get milk on the way home for this afternoon at 1600 hours.
There we go, all done. So out of my head, I don't have to worry about it. So I'll use voice assistants for everything, just to get it out of my head straight away. And then it goes into my reminder list, and I can view it on my phone here or my watch. And if it's triggered for a specific time, it'll pop up and remind me. So at 4 p.m. today, I'll get a notification, get milk on the way home. So it's a really good way not only to get, get things, instantly when you need to. You don't have to remember, think, oh, I have to write that down when I get access to, a notepad or anything. Just get it out of your head straight away. Can remember things. And also voice assistants are getting so good now, you don't have to type. So you can literally dictate, and it's very good. So recommend using voice assistants. You'll probably have them on your phone. Start having a play around with them. Second thing, note-taking apps. So the first thing, after you get things out your head very quickly, using voice assistants, the next thing is taking notes. So I imagine lots of you do take notes with your diary. Maybe you have it with you all the time, you don't. I do, recommend taking notes digitally, and because then you can access them anywhere, we all carry our phones around pretty much all the time with us, and it just makes it so much easier. But if you're looking at note taking, initially, look at really simple note-taking applications, because there are loads out there, but they quickly go into project management, and that gets a bit overwhelming, and you have to do too much admin to create notes. I use this very simple note-taking app called Simple Note, and what I like about it is it's really lightweight. I can have it on phone, iPads. I can log into it wherever I am, and it's really, really lightweight and quick. So I don't know. I think I've got screen share going on here. So where is my note taking? Oh, where is it? I think you can see, yeah, wave if you can see this. Yeah, good. I've got some waves there. Yeah, so this is my little note-taking app. It's running on my desktop. I can add get milk today, and that's all I do. I could come, I'll cut, so that's now synced to all my devices. I can come now on my phone. If I'm thinking of a task, I'm going to add, well, I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, so I'm on my phone, I'm here. I'm just going to say that's all done. I delete that. And it just disappears. You see it disappear pretty much instantly on the desktop. I can even log on to Simple Notes here on through a web browser, an app, and it's there, and I can just type in Clerk Smarter. So that's on a web browser now. And then I can switch to the app there, and it's there, Work Smarter. So it's a real, simple note taking, like if I have to remember anything, and I can access it anywhere on my mobile phone, web browsers, apps, wherever I am. And, the fact that I like it, again, because it's simple, it's not task management. That's a really good thing, just to quickly get things out of your head so that you can organize them later. So moving on, but there's loads of others. I've got Google Keep there down the bottom, Microsoft To Do, but that's going a bit more into the task management. Evernote, OneNote are far more extensive. I do like Evernote because actually Evernote, you can just take pictures of things. You don't even have to take notes. So you can just take pictures of things, and actually Evernote will also, if there's any text on that picture, convert it into text automatically, so you can search it. So if you're out and about and you see an advertisement for an event that you want to go to, with Evernote, you just take a picture of it, goes into your notes, and then you can actually search on it later. But anyway, so the next step up from your simple note taking is actually have proper task management. I'm going to be, I just suggested Asana here. There's loads of decent task management systems out there. Trello, ClickUp, Height, Monday, Office 365, if you're using that. And it's just a lot of them are getting really good and easy to use, easy to create and prioritize tasks, assign them, set deadlines, have chats. So I've got an example here of got a fictitious council. They were town council. I'm using Asana here. And here's my tasks. I've even got the important and not urgent, so I could come in here and kind of basically prioritize my 1, 3, 5. I could say, right, I want to get that done today. I want to get that, move that one in there. I can kind of basically sort them all out, move them around. It's very easy to add new tasks, etc. You can look as a list in board view, and I can move it into progress. I'm going to call Councillor Andrews now about the vandalism incident. Yeah, so it's very, a lot of them very easy to manage tasks and prioritize things, and also assign, set deadlines. You can assign anyone in your team if that's, you could even probably use it for task management off the back of meetings. But there's some nice lightweight tools to manage your tasks. There's automations as well, which I'll go on to in a minute. I'm going to shoot on. Another thing I really recommend you looking at is using messaging instead of email. So sometimes particularly maybe when you're working with your councillors, you could even do it with the public, but I wouldn't, unless you're kind of quite good with technology, I wouldn't worry about that just now, but try it out on your team and your councillors. It's just a faster way to communicate if you're using Messenger. So you can use it for low-level communication, reminders for agenda items or anything like that. So you're more likely to get a reply if you've got a WhatsApp group of the council with your councillors on there from a WhatsApp message than an email. Emails tend to kind of go into like a stream of a bunch of messages. You might need to be careful that it doesn't spill over into discussing agenda items, etc. But it's a great way to get quick responses for people. And, there are councils using it. And I did a bit of a Google and look at Mislead Parish Council. They actually have a WhatsApp policy. There's lots of other chat tools out there, but most people got WhatsApp on them. And you could expand it to the community, but, you have to be careful of that, because WhatsApp now support communities. You can create, which actually could work quite well with the council, because you could have, a WhatsApp group for the whole council, and then you can have here you've got a school for parents, and you've got the subgroups underneath that, so you can communicate to the whole school, but then you might have the subgroups in there, and that can be like your subcommittees, within the council, for planning, etc. So it's just, you'll find that your communication speeds up a lot quicker. So it's really worth looking at moving a majority of your communication onto messaging. And also, I wouldn't be worried, that kind of, you can export all that data, you can, download that chat, so you have evidence of it, and everything like that. So it's worth looking into. I was going to do, we've only got 15 minutes. I was going to do a demo on Google Docs, but I'm not going to do that. But it's kind of moving, you stop using desktop apps and start thinking about using cloud apps. So there are different cloud app providers, so all the Microsoft Office that you're used to using, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, etc. It's much easier to use those online now, where you can access the application through the browser. You would have hopefully heard of Office 365 and Google Docs. You basically have all the apps that you're normally used to using, but it's hosted in the cloud. And that's far more secure to host it in the cloud. You no longer need to worry about backing it up on your own machine. You no longer need to worry as much about ensuring you still need it, but as much on decent virus protection. And it really helps and makes it much easier to collaborate online. You have your full version history of all your changes. It's just something you should really look about moving to the cloud to your council. Scheduling stuff. This is one of my favorite apps. I mean, there's loads of stuff you can schedule, but you might have, tried to organize meeting with, organizing a meeting at a time, and you might have had like 5, to organize a time where people are free to have a meeting with you. It might take 4 or 5 emails to and fro. No, I can't do that day. No, I can do this day. Well, you can actually just share a little bit of your calendar using something like Calendly, and you can link it with your actual calendar, but it has to be a calendar in the cloud. So you have to be using Office 365 or Google Docs or Google accounts. So whenever someone wants a meeting with me, all I do is go, great, please book something. And I just give them that link, Scribe John, and then they come in here and they just have a look at availability and they go, oh yeah, I can do that. Book in there, put in their name, put in their email, schedule it, that goes straight into my calendar. So I'm not involved at all. There's no communication. I don't have to say, I can do this time. Can you do that time? I just give them a link to my calendar. They go in and book it, and they add guests if they want to, and it just magically appears in my calendar. And I've set out the times and rules about when people can book, etc. So that's a great tool. But there's loads of other things you can schedule it. And this is kind of, going back to, a lot of clerks will only be working, so many hours a week. They can schedule things, schedule social media posts, emails, etc., while they're not working, just so they could go out on a Monday morning, etc. If you need to organize a bigger meeting on the scheduling, you can use Doodle, which enables multiple people to basically, you can give like 10 dates, potential dates for a meeting. So it could be a council meeting, and then everyone can add and say, oh, I can do that one, that one, that one. Then you can see which one everybody can make. Quantified self. So there's 2 areas here. One is going with the delete it. So if you are, you can, install apps, which I do. I've got Rescue Time here, which monitors all the kind of apps and websites I'm using on my actual laptop, and then over time you can classify that's a productive website for me, that's unproductive, and then over time you can try and improve your productivity. So this particular day I had a good day there. I probably had some other bad days, but here you can see how much time I spent on Gmail, which will be work, Slack, which is work, Google Sheets is normally work, LinkedIn, sometimes it is work, LinkedIn, Twitter, sometimes that can be work, but it's not, it's more personal activities. WhatsApp's normally personal, BBC News. So you're trying to improve your focus work, so it's good to track. And this kind of general topic is called quantified self, when you're tracking statistics on your own behaviors, but it can also be fitness. Step counters and all that kind of stuff. But it's good, to look at a lot of these apps are really good for tracking and changing behavior. I mean, the step counts and getting 10,000 steps a day is a really good one, but you can track your sleep, all kinds of things. This is mostly for personal. And then you can do, you can automate stuff doing integration. So I'm just going to do a quick demo here. So I've got my task management system here, and I wanted to I'm going to show you how you can automatically create tasks. So say now I've got a waiting waiting list for allotments. So you can spin up a form on Google Forms for people to add themselves to the waiting list. I've just knocked this up here. So I can just put in my name, my address, any stress there, put in my email. So I'm a resident. I'm adding myself. I want to add myself to the waiting list. So I do my consent there and I submit that. So that's been submitted. So as a clerk, I don't know it's happened at that point in time, but I can come probably hopefully if I come here, there you go. It's automatically, I've done an integration. It's automatically added as a task here. So I've got the task there. And then it's appeared, add allotments registration for John Fagan. I can then move that into my council work there. Then just go to the list view here. And there it appears there, and I could give it a tag. Is it not important? It's probably not important, no, it's maybe important, but not urgent. Let's say important, not urgent though. And then I can prioritize that in a, to do maybe in a few weeks or whatever, or a few days. So yeah, so someone's applied, someone's added them to waiting list. The automation, we've got the automation in terms of capturing their data, and it's just entered as a task there. You could do other things, like say I've got to pay an invoice. I can add tasks from my email. I had an invoice there the other day. Yeah, so I can actually just email it to Asana. I could maybe give it a new subject line. Pay invoice for Manuel, hit enter there, and that's basically from my email now. It's should be added as a task. Let's hit refresh. I should be coming in now. There it is, pay invoice for Emmanuel. So it's automatically added as a task. I could add that. That's not a personal task. It's a work task. So it appears in there. And then again, I can come in here and flag it up as the urgent. I would say that is important and urgent because maybe there's a deadline on it. So flag it up there. So yeah, so these tools, it's very easy to kind of set up little automations to improve your workflow. So it's easily straight from my email. I can send that to Asana to create a task, get it out of my head. Don't have to worry. Don't have to leave that email unread. And then also get signups from allotments. Finally, in our last few minutes, we do provide loads of tools to improve productivity and improve workflows at Scribe. We kind of create this diagram here, the hierarchy of kind of needs for council accounts, starting down at the bottom, where you do all your administration, your cash book, it's important but not urgent work. And then you do your monitoring, producing your reports and etc., taking to council. And then further up the top of the pyramid, you're preparing for your year end, your AGAR, etc. So generally, you find that the higher up the pyramid, the more stressful and anxious it can be. And often we find that customers, before they joined us, tasks related to preparing for meetings, producing reports, doing your VAT claims, doing your budget, preparing your budget, doing your year end, and preparing for internal audit are important and urgent tasks. But if you use purpose-built software such as Scribe accounts, all your work that you do is down in the cash book, really keeping an eye, adding your transactions, doing your bank reconciliation and doing your VAT claims. And then if you're doing all your work here, there is no important and urgent tasks anymore because everything is automated. So suddenly all that's clear. you know, and all that time that you had now is freed up, where a lot of our customers, before they joined us, they'd be spending weeks in particularly year end around budgeting, preparing and getting stressed out about that. But if throughout the year you're just entering your transactions, doing your bank reconciliation, the rest is done through automation, producing your reports, producing your AGAR, etc. You just freed up a load of your time. And it's not just about Scribe accounts, you know, cemetery management, allotments and bookings. We have all our tools are really about trying to, you know, enable you to delegate a lot of work you used to do manually. Now you delegate it to software, and then you get that time back. If I had time, there's loads more apps I would share, but I'll share these slides afterwards. I'm just going to wrap up now because we're coming to the end. But one of my favorite there is Expensify, really cool tool for expenses. You just, if you have an expense, you just take a photo of the receipt and it just gets added, and or you know, it automatically works out the amount, etc. But yeah, so it is quite a long talk. I've covered a lot of stuff. I've got some questions I haven't managed to look, but we can have probably a few questions if you have them. But hope you enjoyed it. And yes, so hopefully it was useful. I don't know. Yeah, cool. So yeah, have I got some questions in there? Well, actually, just shout out some questions if you want, or put your hand up, or don't. Oh, it's good. I'm glad you liked it. I'm getting some nice comments there, because yeah, it feels maybe a bit overwhelming, or I don't know if it's useful, because I'm, you know, again, I'm not a clerk, but I've done my best to try and adapt it to clerk and the role. So hopefully I was able to do that. But yeah, was there any questions there, Jessica?
Can't see any my end, but I have just joined, so I can't have the
yeah, no, it's people like Sana. Yeah, Sana's good. We're actually thinking about building an Asana type experience into Scribe, so that you kind of got it all linked in, you know, and it's all linked into your accounts and anything like that. We're allotments, we kind of do it already, you know. You can create a task to do an inspection, and that's a task in the allotments app, and then that task goes to the person who's doing that inspection. And then if there's a breach and that inspection fails, then it's a task that goes to the kind of tenancy holder as like a notice to make some improvements. Cool. Yes, yeah, there is a bit of an issue. Yeah, Elizabeth, you know, all relevant, but getting the councillors to embrace technology is always a bit of a challenge. I agree. But you got to, like, I mean, I really do recommend councillors like messaging. It's kind of, it can be, because then it's a lot lighter weight, easier. You know, like say you're trying to get agenda items for a meeting agenda, you know, pops it up there and they can just write it in. You know, it's just a lot easier. And even on WhatsApp, again, showing my age a little bit, I started just using, I drop an audio recording on there because it's just easier. And actually a lot of younger people use audio now as well, but again, that's just easier to do. And then you could perhaps get all your agenda items done really quickly within 20 minutes, and you're not blocked because people respond quicker. Yeah, no mobile, no computer. There's nothing we can do about that one. Listen, yeah, there are councillors still with no mobile phone and no computer, but it's becoming increasingly harder just to live life without a mobile phone. And that's not a problem for town and parish councils. That's just a problem. This, you know, you do, unfortunately, now a lot of our way we interact with businesses, friends, family, government is through digital means these days. Are you, oh cool, what Adele, so you use WhatsApp group. Do you want to just talk about that very briefly and what you do?
Obviously, you know, as councillors probably work as well, they only check their emails maybe every couple of days. So if it's an urgent email that comes in, it gets forwarded on, and then a WhatsApp goes out saying urgent email, response required by a date. And then that's up to them then to go and look at the email, respond as necessary.
Cool.
It does tend to work really well because the councillors are saying, no, but I don't check my emails.
Yes.
And it's really difficult. Yes, they do have jobs, but this is my job.
Yep.
And there has to be that crossover. They've decided that they want to be a council and they want to be involved in these things, and looking at the emails once a week just sort of doesn't cut it, really, does it? There's lots of people shaking their heads, sorry.
Yeah, and also the thing is, you can see if they've read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like if they haven't read the WhatsApp, then you can escalate it. But an email, you don't always know if they've read it or whatever. Yeah, and that's like a very useful as well. But yeah,
it works great. Highly recommend that one.
Yeah, it's so easy to set up. You can actually create a WhatsApp group, and then you can create an invite link, and you just send the invite link around to people, and then. So yeah, that's the easiest way. So you don't even need their contact details. You can initially, you create an invite link, email it around to everybody, and then they just tap on it and they get joined into the group. I haven't played around much. I don't know if you have, Adele, with the communities. I don't know if anyone's noticed. They haven't completely rolled it out yet, but WhatsApp now, in the middle there, they have communities. And that's, this could be really useful for local councils, because I don't know if you've ever been in big WhatsApp groups and then there's a subsection of people in that WhatsApp group doing something, organizing or discussing something that's not relevant to the entire group. And then it can be too noisy for those other people. But yeah, with communities, you can create your larger community group, like the whole council, and then you can have subgroups in there. So you could still communicate with everybody if you need to. And like everybody could go into one of those other groups to have it to see the latest communication, but they're not involved in the conversation, don't need to be. So that's maybe with committees. So you can have your entire council, and then you can have a subgroup for each committee if needed. And you could even potentially, if you're brave enough, let's say, expand that to the residents. But I think, anyway, cool. Anything else? Who's going to eat that frog tomorrow?
Try.
Yeah, try. Good. You got to do it. Yeah. That's a nice little one. Think that. Because it's a niggle one, because once you start getting into that habit of eat that frog, then you start getting a little bit agitated, because like, what have I done? Did I really do something today? That really pushes things forward. So it's a good mindset to be in. It really is a good mindset to be in. And then especially if you're doing it in the morning, because sometimes you join in the morning, it's so much easier just to. I'll read the news a little bit. I'll see what's on the WhatsApp, the Facebook group. And it's like, that's not not moving things forward. I've got to stop doing that and get on with it. Anyway, cool. Take it
John,
easy.
Just to follow up on a couple of messages in the chat, we will be sending the slides and recording to everyone post this event.
Okay. Have a great one, everyone, and see you at next Scribe Academy. Cheers. Bye.